that I absolutely love.
So we're
I'm
going
gonna mention
to,
it when I introduce you.
all right, so
And
let's,
where are you guys based right now? You're on the East Coast, it looks like.
We're in Michigan, not East Coast, Midwest.
Oh, Midwest. You're in Michigan. Okay, so you
Mhm.
just went.
okay, let's see here.
Where there's a lot of white stuff outside.
All right, is everybody seeing my
Yes,
screen?
yes, we are.
Yes,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
very good. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Absolutely.
I want to thank everyone that's currently here for showing up on this Friday morning. Over here, just as a sort of reference, is we're in Benton Harbor, Southwest Michigan. The temperature it says is 18 degrees, but it says it feels like 2 degrees. So yeah, so that's where we are. Anyway, this is season 9 of Environmental Fridays. It is personal. You can see our link here to our website, as well as in the right hand bottom corner is a QR code that would get you there as well. And we have three more, no, actually two more
Two more sessions.
yes, sessions coming up. So from Guyana today, we will be going to New York City. New York City next week. And then our final deals with sea turtles and the plastic crisis. And that's from the Turtle Island Restoration Network. If you want to view our now 144 episodes on YouTube, this is how you could get it by our QR code. And I also think I sent it in our invitation as well. So, um, in terms of our next semester, our next session, our next season, again, we have a lineup of really good presentation, of really great speakers. Really looking forward to it. In fact, at the very top here, you could see we have another session episode dealing with Guyana on
Yes.
January the 16th. So if you wish, Leslie, you could come back and probably be part of that as a co-host. Right now, we have only one co-host for that session, and we could do with two co-hosts. So Guyana's forest solutions to the climate crisis with, I don't know, maybe you know this person. She is in the Ministry of Natural Resources.
I do actually.
Okay.
I work with her.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to
Okay.
help. Yeah. If I'm available, I would be happy to.
All
Excellent.
right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So you can see again, we have a wide range of topics, and we are in fact looking for co-hosts. Some of them have one co-host already, but like I just said, we entertain at least two in for many of our episodes. So if you do want to co-host any of these, just reach out to me, Murray D at environmentalfridays.com, and we could get you connected up and schedule in for being a co-host. All right. Again, want to remind everyone, send us your thoughts, your feedback, 100 words or less. Again, Murray D at environmentalfridays.com, and we will publish your comments and thoughts online, which includes giving us suggestions about future topics and future speakers. So I was going to start to introduce a new item here called Nature Poems. And I wanted to first feature Maya Angelou's On the Pulse of Morning. I would not do that this morning so that we could move forward with Leslie's talk. But if you do want, this was a historic poem on the inauguration of William Jefferson Clinton to his presidency. And so you could see, you could find it on YouTube, you could find it online. on the Pulse of Morning. She begins by talking about a river, a rock, and I forgot the other one. But I thought it would have been really nice with Leslie talking about biodiversity and stuff. So, anyway, we will talk about this and feature her next time. All right. So at this point, Bridget is our co-host today. She's been a very supportive person here for Environmental Fridays, pretty much from the get-go. We know each other in multiple different ways, including sometimes we haven't done this in a while, go walking. Um, so yeah, and I don't think we crossed paths when we were in Trinidad. You went to school at what is now the University of Southern Caribbean. I went to school there in a secondary. Um, I trying to remember 75 to 78. So anyway, we've known each other and we've crossed paths in different ways. She is an educator, a public health professional. She's got 30 years of experience in education administration, leadership. She's worked in international organizations like the United Nations Development Program with PAHO. And I thought it was very appropriate that she would be co-host for today since she is from Guyana. And among other things, she is in charge of, and I believe founder of the Charlotte Education Service Consortium. And it's, yeah, a real privilege to have you on here to introduce our speaker as well as help with our Q&A. Thank you,
Thank you
Bridget.
so much, Dr. Murray.
You're
Dr. Murray
welcome.
means the world to me, my family, and to this community in Berrien Springs. He is just a dynamic entity. He's a force with which to be reckoned. So thank you, sir. It is my delight and pleasure, having met her for just 5 minutes, to introduce our guest speaker today. Dr. Leslie Sales de Souza is a Brazilian-born conservation ecologist and ichthyologist at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago, where she serves as senior conservation ecologist in the and
Thank you.
I'll mute that. Go ahead.
That's Dr. Glenville Liebert. You want to meet him, sir.
Okay.
Your future speakers are just adding up.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, so where she serves as senior conservation ecologist in the Andes Amazon program in the Keller Science Action Center. Dr. Sales de Souza leads research across the Amazon basin, focusing on freshwater biodiversity, fish taxonomy, and the conservation of endangered aquatic species such as the arapaima, my country's fish, and the pink river dolphin. That's what cued me into Brazil because I've swum with them in the Amazon. I've held one. Beautiful, beautiful. She is a recognized expert in neotropical ichthyofauna and a leader in the application of environmental DNA, eDNA, for biodiversity monitoring. Her work has supported the discovery of new fish species, informed conservation policy, and emphasized the integration of indigenous knowledge in research. You therefore are a true researcher, Dr. De Souza. Dr. Sales de Souza is also an accomplished science communicator and educator, with outreach featured in National Geographic, the New York Times, and Manga Bay. And she currently serves on the E.O. Wilson Biodiversity Foundation's Half Earth Chairs and Scholars Board. I am hoping that Dr. De Souza will let us know what an ichthyologist is, which I learned because I was I was researching for this. Um, and I hope that she'll let us know what that is. Thank you so much, Dr. D'Souza. Welcome. And the next 40 minutes are yours.
Oh, thank you so much, Bridget. It's so lovely to meet you, Dr. Hines and Dr. Murray. Thank you for the invitation. It's such an honor to be able to speak about some of the places that I get to work. And Guyana is a place that I've been working for more than 20 years. I am from Brazil and was interested in the Amazon basin, but someone took me to Guyana on an expedition in 2003, and I haven't stopped going back. And a lot of that is because there's so much work and fascinating biodiversity that we still are learning about, and we're still finding new species to science. And so I'm going to play here from the start. Oop. But I will start by saying, as an ichthyologist, that means my expertise is in freshwater, is in fishes. And so I came to the land. Guyana is known as the land of many waters, and we understand that this is a kind of an Amerindian translation of Guyana. And it is a place of many waters. What is fascinating about Guyana is that it's within the Guyana Shield. And so this is a ancient geological platform that spans Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, as well as parts of Venezuela and tiny bit in Colombia. And so this is an ancient geological formation that, if you can imagine, over time has really shaped the rivers and the terrestrial landscape over time, shifting kind of what we know of biodiversity and the evolution of those species over time. And so Guyana is just in this sweet spot within the Guyana Shield, because in the central part of Guyana and this waste area of Guyana, there is an actual connection with all of Guyana Shield ancient river systems to the Amazon. And it's called the Rupununi Portal. It's a savanna wetland that's world renowned for its biodiversity. It's primarily inhabited by indigenous communities. And so it is quite an impressive ecosystem that is also now becoming more and more populated as it's on the border of Brazil. And so what I wanted to start off with, and most of you maybe here know where a Guyana is, but I often will say I'm going to Guyana and people say, "Are you going to Africa?" And so I just wanted to just give a general back. Guyana is an English-speaking country. It's small but mighty in so many ways, and biodiversity is one of them. It gained its independence. It was formerly British Guyana. It gained its independence about 50 years ago, so it's relatively young in some sense. But you have extraordinary mix of ethnicities within Guyana. A large percentage of the population lives along the coast. But in the interior, you have a mix. And this map on the right, you can see the yellow areas are the Amerindian lands in Guyana. And then the green are the protected areas in Guyana. And so what I thought I would do today, because I am was brought to Guyana and some of the work that I do in the Amazon through fish research, is I wanted to talk a little bit about freshwater biodiversity in Guyana and just highlight some of the unique patterns that we're seeing in Guyana. And also, we're doing an analysis right now to identify priority areas in Guyana for freshwater. So we often think of protected areas and think about the, terrestrial landscapes, the forest, and those are great. We need those. But we also need to think about how these river systems are being protected and the aquatic life that both terrestrial species and aquatic species depend on. And then more importantly, are the livelihoods of the people that live in this area. So in central, especially in the areas that I've been primarily working in the southern part of the country, there are at least 10,000 indigenous peoples that are living there, subsistence lifestyles in many cases, but dependent on the healthiness of these ecosystems. And so I think that I wanted to start with just kind of where the hotspots are. And it's hard not to look at this slide and not talk about the harpy eagle, which is one of the largest birds of prey. It's endangered. It's vulnerable, I believe, but it has It's sensitive species, and so it's an important species because of the vast forests in Guyana. There are actually dense populations and healthy populations of harpy eagles in Guyana. And so Guyana can boast to almost 90% forest cover. And that is quite spectacular if you think about kind of the shape that the climate's in and the globe is in in general. There are some of the largest tracts of intact forest are in Guyana. And so it's a really important place for biodiversity conservation that can not only support what the country is doing and the people, but also the globe. And so I just wanted to highlight some of just the numbers. Uh, Over 800 birds, over 800 species of fish. That's incredible for this small country. This is about the size of Delaware. Wouldn't you say that, Dr. Hines? Delaware, maybe, or around that? Okay. So we're not talking about a big space, but 800 birds, 834 fishes. The Mississippi River alone only has 200, and that's the most diverse river we have here in America. So this is an incredibly diverse place. 265 mammals and reptiles and amphibians. And this is like what we know. There's much of Guyana that we still have not been able to explore in terms of biodiversity. And I just wanted to highlight most of people, when they think of Guyana, they think of the Guyana Shield and these Guyana Shield countries. So Suriname and French Guyana. And something that's unique about Guyana, and I think it's related to the connectedness of the ability to be connected to the Amazon basin, is that Guyana has far more biodiversity in freshwater fishes than its neighboring countries of Suriname and French Guyana. And that's one of my hypotheses, is that because of that connection to the largest river in the world, the most diverse river in the world, connected to the ancient rivers of the Guyana Shield, allows for this just mixing and, speciation events that have happened over time. It is among the world's highest in the bird diversity. So this is kind of one of those heat maps that you can look for these all over the globe for the different groups. But this, dark red is kind of really high biodiversity. And this right here is in the highland region of Guyana. But you can see that it covers most of Guyana. So it's pretty high in bird diversity. It's a very popular country now for ecotourism. You have birders going there just to be able to check off lists of birds that they've seen, because it's quite remarkable, the different bird species that are there. So I wanted to move into kind of the freshwater biodiversity and just talk a little bit about aquatic biodiversity. So not just fishes, but aquatic mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and birds. And they all depend on this aquatic life. This is part of the Essequibo River. It's an upper Essequibo. So the Essequibo is the largest river in Guyana. And it is quite remarkable, the history of how this river drainage has changed over time, and it has contributed to the diversity we see in aquatic species. And so this is just a sampling of like the aquatic species and the numbers that for this analysis to identify the priorities. And, oftentimes we think of like primarily aquatic species like the river otter, or you have them coming on land often, but they spend a lot of time in the water, or capybara, or the pink river dolphin, which is an important species. The interesting thing that you mentioned, the pink river dolphin, Dr. Hines, and what is interesting, and I actually have a side project on that as well. Well, not a side project, a project on that. And we used eDNA, environmental eDNA, which is taking water samples and identifying the genetics within the water samples. And we were able to detect pink river dolphins all over the southern part of Guyana, in many places, I should say, in southern part of Guyana. And the interesting thing is that if you look at the IUCN range map for pink river dolphins, it stops at Brazil. And it's, scientifically not known from Guyana, yet local people are like, of course they're here. They've been here for hundreds of years, and we've known that. And so It's really great to be able to just expand people's understanding and knowledge of biodiversity that is in Guyana. That is, it's a critically endangered species, so it brings a lot of value to where those species are found. I I'm going to show a couple of maps, and I'll go through them relatively quickly, but I just wanted to kind of highlight some of these analyses. And so this is just fish diversity in Guyana. If you're familiar with Mount Roraima, this is on the border highland area, which is borders Brazil, Venezuela. It's in this northwest corner. 90% of the fishes that are there are endemic to that region, meaning they're found there and nowhere else in the world. And so this is just an example of this analysis that we were doing, showing kind of like where they're located and then kind of the model to determine like the extent of where it is. And then if you look at all aquatic species, this is kind of also a heat map. Where there is red is the highest, and you would expect them to be in rivers because they're aquatic. And so you see that it kind of follows the patterns of where the important aquatic ecosystems are within the country with, the Rupununi Central Waste region of Guyana being kind of the hottest. And that is because of this portal that I was referring to earlier called the Rupununi Portal, and it connects the Essequibo River with the Amazon River basin. But this is flooded wetlands during the rainy season, and so you have an extensive network of very different habitats that allow and support a wide variety of different species. And so, hotspot there, the major river systems of Guyana are where we see kind of the high red. You see them in the lowland aquatic, or, along the coast, especially for some of the marine species. But then we also see areas that aren't highlighted, and we know there are rivers there. And so why would that be? And so what we understand about these models is that the more data that you have, the better the model is to predict. And this area, and which I'll get to a little bit later, is kind of in the southeastern corner, is a huge gap until recently, which I'll get to in a minute, in our knowledge of what's on the ground. And then you have the highland region, which is just difficult to get to. But, for ichthyologists, every time we go there, we find almost a new genus. And so it's like a spectacular place, but it's really hard to access because these are highland areas and they're not easy to access. So it doesn't mean that there aren't, I mean, we know that this is high for endemism, but we also know that that it's because it's difficult to get there. So it looks blue on the map, but it's so important because of all of the endemism. And then I broke this down by region. And so some of this is based on Guyana is divided into government regions, and they're based on hydrological ecosystem or the river system. So this, for example, is region 9, and this is the upper Takatu Essequibo region. And so you can see kind of patterns by region. And this is kind of looking at indigenous lands. Again, we have this central Rupununi area where there's really high species diversity. And we've known for a long time that indigenous communities do a very play an important role in preserving our biodiversity and have kind of for centuries across the world. So this is kind of just supporting some of those conclusions that researchers have found. And so who knows what this species is out there? Who's seen this lovely top here? This is such a beautiful animal. They're so big. And they're an important aquatic species that we see often when we're doing our river research in the rivers. But these are the endemic species that we know of just for Guyana. So there are several mammals, there are several plants that are kind of endemic to the Guyana Shield. But I wanted just to highlight the endemic species in Guyana. And so you have like about almost 150 species that are endemic and only found in Guyana and nowhere else in the world, and likely more. This is an example of a fish that I described recently, that's from the highland area of Guyana. And I think this map got in there again. And then there's several globally threatened species in Guyana. And so these are the species that really drive some of the priority analysis and really inform decision makers on kind of how to think about the expansion plan for creating conservation areas. So these are just really important because once these are gone, they're gone. That's it. And that makes a very big impact on the ecosystems that they support. There are other reasons to consider other species that may not have these categories, and that's if they're an important source of food or timber production, or they're culturally and spiritually important for ecotourism, and then species that are still recovering from past overharvest, like arapaima. And our work with arapaima, it was amazing to see over a decade that the populations rebounded once there was this community-based effort with support of government agencies to kind of restrict harvesting. But this is other reasons to consider different species and different areas for conservation efforts. This is something that I'm working on with a student, and that's really just creating endemic species profiles because this is a way to share. Sometimes people just don't know that they're, especially within Guyana, like schools, they should have this information that kids should know that, hey, we have this really cool frog that's only found in our country. And so this is something that I'm working on with a intern and just hoping that we can share this widely as an educational resource. So I wanted to move kind of to some of the gaps, and then it leads to some recent work that we did that is trying to fill some of those gaps. This is a picture of the Rupununi area. So you see that there's gallery forest. This is the Rupununi River and savanna. And it's expansive savanna as far as you can see once you're in kind of the central area of the Rupununi. And this is what we know. This is a kernel density, just showing you kind of where where we, as in all scientists ever, have done research and have put points on a map about biodiversity. And so this is a heat map again that shows that we have a lot of information in this Rupununi region. We can do a lot in terms of planning, or we as in the government of Guyana can do a lot as in planning. The Amerindian villages can do a lot as in planning because there's a lot of information that can help inform those decisions that are available about biodiversity information. And then you incorporate that with local ecological knowledge, and then you really have a way to plan. And you can see that, some of the major gaps are here in the New River Triangle, which is, the disputed area in Guyana, and as well as kind of some of this northwestern region that's some of it's hard to access, but I'm kind of impressed when we did this analysis, like how many people are like, we're going to the highlands. We're going to put dots on a map in the highland areas because those are hard to get to. Just doing a couple of trips there myself, I was like, wow, like herpetologists have to hike for a long time to get to some of these sites where there could be, new species of frogs. And so it's an impressive area. And there's this kind of highland area that's north of the Rupununi, kind of near Karasabai, west of the Iwakrama forest, that we could potentially fill in more gaps in our understanding. And so just to look at like all of this information and just do a Marxist analysis of like where are the priority areas for freshwater, this is kind of a first pass of some of that information. And anyone familiar with Guyana knows, okay, again, the Rupununi is showing up as very important for aquatic species, which makes a lot of sense based on what we know about this connection. The portal is, the only known seasonal connection on the globe. The Okavanga Delta has an interesting connected area, but that's, also connecting kind of to the ocean. And so it's a little bit different than kind of this internal connection. So then we have the highland area as well, which we're not too surprised to have those kind of come up as aquatically important since that's where the highest endemism is. We have kind of this interesting area to the east, which is around the Kanji River. It's a blackwater river that flows out and it's close to the coast and near the border of Suriname. And there's intermediate savannas nearby. There are um, there are just unique habitats there that explain some of potentially this diversity because the aquatic vegetation influences the rivers, influences the fishes that are going to be there and other aquatic species. Another thing to highlight is this area up in the northwest near the Barima Wanini River are rivers are. Um, and I think there's some research with some local Guyanese that are working kind of nearby there. We know that this is a special area, and we think that there's just more to do there. It's not terribly difficult to access. Some of this river flows into Venezuela, and so we have kind of this mixing of two river sheds at some spots, and I think that explains some of that biodiversity. And this blip down here is the Rewa River in southern Guyana. And so that's kind of interesting. And we don't have anything in this huge forested landscape in the southeast, and I really think it has a lot to do with the fact that we just don't have points. This is a place that, very few people have ever been to. Um, this is a little bit about the analysis. It really tries to incorporate kind of activities that are on the ground, and this is mining leases that tremendously affect aquatic ecosystems, but it's kind of a way where the analysis is really trying to like see can there be some like balance of incorporating conservation and you know, there's a lot to say here, but I'll keep going. So as I highlighted these early areas, we're trying to figure out a way to depict this in a more hydrological way instead of like blobs on a map. And so we're still kind of working on this this map here. So I want to highlight kind of the key places. And this is, again, the Rupununi savannas and the wetlands. And this isn't even in the peak of the wet rainy season. This is like, some of the wetlands and that stay like this even through the dry season. But you can see the expansive savanna areas. It's such an important 60% of the protein that communities depend on come from fish. And so it's really important that these ecosystems are healthy for the fish that they're eating. This guy, we were out going with our nets to collect fishes, and he went out for like an hour and got all of these fish. And we were like there with our nets, like struggling to get we like little fishes too, because we want to see like the diversity of the tiny little guys. But this was something that I'll never forget because I thought, wow, he just went out there and nailed those fish and brought his family food. And we're sitting here like with nets just struggling. But um, we were able to catch some too, but this is just to give you an idea of that portal that I'm talking about. When you look at this map and you can see kind of the extent that this area can flood. And so this is like just an elevation map that shows you like when it is full, you get from all the way to the Essequibo to the Takatu River, which flows into the Branco, which flows into the Amazon River. And so this area again and again comes up as super important for biodiversity and for the people that live there. There's also kind of competition with economic development because this is kind of where the road from Georgetown goes uh, to Brazil and carries goods. And, that's not a bad thing. Roads aren't always bad. They can be bad. And so it's a matter of knowing how to build a road that's going to be paved through here that accounts for maintaining this connectivity. And so people have built roads over wetlands all over the world. And so this is not new ways to do it. It is a challenge. And it's a conversation that communities will have to kind of decide amongst themselves, like how are they going to manage their areas so that they can make sure that this ecosystem stays as healthy and as special as it is. I think I talked about this endemic species that are found in these areas. I want to move to some tools for low carbon development strategy. I saw that sustainable develop was on the title, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can say too much about sustainable development, but I can talk about some tools that can contribute to Guyana's like very ambitious and strong leadership in trying to develop thinking about low carbon and thinking about biodiversity. And so it's been an honor to be able to kind of work under that umbrella of like, hey, this is not just, we want to develop with nature. We want to develop in a way that allows us to benefit and maintain kind of the ecosystems that we have here and grow, especially now as a leading producer of oil in the world. And so something that the Field Museum does, we have this rapid inventories program. We're a natural history museum in Chicago. I invite you all to come and visit. If you do, please email me because I would be happy to take you on a tour or just meet with you. And we are a scientific institution that's focused on biological and cultural diversity. And these are kind of examples of collections that were collected in Guyana over 100 years ago. And these are so important for informing kind of how things were in the past, how to understand things compare them to how they are now to plan for the future. And so this was kind of a mindset of cataloging life on Earth for hundreds of years, explorers coming back and bringing, specimens for us to understand the diversity. But then, over in the last decade, 2 decades or so, we've been really thinking about how can the museum contribute to action on the ground? How can we make a difference for the people and the places on the ground? And so this rapid inventories program is looking at a landscape through a biological lens and a social lens. And so we have so we have a biological team that works with, reptiles, amphibians. We have all the taxonomic experts, and then we have a social lens. And this is a social team that works with the local communities in the area or around an area that we're working in. And our team is actually relatively small. We tend to build our team with national experts of the countries that we work in. So we have worked all over South America, mainly in the Upper Amazon. And then we bring in like national experts, local experts, and build the teams with people from the area because they are the ones that are going to know it the best. And so here's an example of how we supported the expansion plan in Peru in an area. This is probably about 3 times the size of Guyana. In early 2000 and I think 2001, they were at 8% and they wanted to go to 30%. And right now we're at about 25%. And so we provide kind of the field work, on the ground information, working with our social team working with the communities to understand their aspirations for these landscapes. And so to date, we've done 33. We've helped support the creation of new conservation up to 20. We just have a new one that was created 2 months ago in Peru. This is over 41 million acres. And these rapid inventories are changing so fast, like scientists on the ground are so important for cataloging biodiversity, but we're also needing to like do this quickly. Things are changing and we need to use tools like eDNA, AI, camera traps, acoustics. And so we're deploying these in our rapid inventories as a way to gain knowledge quicker and enhance like what we're doing on the ground. And the most importantly is the local knowledge. It's the people that are there that are able to give us insights on seasonality, patterns, connections between species. I mean, it's techniques for collecting these species. The first fish I ever described, I named after the Makushi people because they were the ones that helped me find that fish. And it was not new to them. It was new to me as a scientist and new to the scientific. And then, were you saying something, Dr. Hines? I'm sorry. I can't. Oh, okay.
I agree with
So I just want to take you to where we went. This is in partnership with the Protected Areas Commission in Guyana, the Office of the President, the EPA, the University of Guyana, the NGOs like CI, Conservation International, Frankfurt Zoological Society, the communities. This is a rapid inventory we did together in this southern area of Guyana where very few people had ever been. And it was called the Acarai Rupununi Corridor. And so if you look here on the map, There is the Acarai Mountains to the southern edge, and if you follow that along, it goes towards the Rupununi. And so the idea is that this is an area that was identified as an area of interest to understand more about the biodiversity. Very little information was known. There was coincidentally a field museum scientist who went to the New River in 1938, but then because there's so many rapids on the New River, had lost a lot of the specimens. And so this was quite an honor to be able to go to this area, but also a little bit terrifying. I mean, it's dangerous to be so remote, and you have a team of like 30 to 40 scientists. This is the headwaters of Guyana's largest rivers. So all the land of many waters is born here, essentially. And so we did this November of 2024. Oops, sorry, the volumes. We did a flyover of the area to kind of identify like how can we set up sites in this long, huge area and extrapolate what we understand. You can't cover this whole area in one expedition. And so we did an overflight to kind of understand where we could put these camps. They're incredible, like outcroppings, expansive forest. I mean, it looked like a sea of green, and I had never understood in my 20 plus years of working in the Amazon what it really meant to be an intact forest. This is intact forest. This is like the luscious place. It is remarkable, and it's such an incredible moment because Guyana wants to protect that. They want to conserve it. They're not looking to log it. They're not looking um, to have miners in here, and so biodiversity conservation is like what they find to be the solution here. Um, this team was made up of more than about 40, mostly Guyanese. And so this is just some of the team members that were on here that were from these communities, from Georgetown, local experts as well. And every aspect of our planning was with them and in the field as well to help us kind of figure out where we were going to go and how to collect and maximize this, like, 3 or 4 weeks in the field. It was really great because we had people from the EPA join us as well. So we had people in agencies, not just like local experts that were in biodiversity, but to learn these techniques, but also to see kind of how we do this work on the ground, because it's really valuable to me to have them see and understand how we do this work. This is me collecting fishes, of course. This is Antoine doing herp surveys. Onesi is from Parabara Village. Anyhow, we're collecting, specimens, we're identifying plants, Fada's misnetting for bats. This is a local villager showing us and outlining some of the petroglyphs that are in nearby other communities. We documented some that had never been documented before. More than 50% of the birds of Guyana are in this corridor. So just to show you that just in this corridor, more than 50% of all of Guyana's birds are in this corridor. It's really special. This is a overlapping meeting zone of contact for herps. So you have Amazonian species and you have Guyana shield species that overlap in this area, which is kind of, it was a new understanding of the distribution of a lot of species of herps in this area. They found, I think they're looking to finalize DNA sequencing to determine if they found a new species of lizard. Fishes, this is just incredible. We found 33 new species to science, 40 new records to Guyana. So they were kind of known from the quarantine, but had never been documented in Guyana. The geologist said that the waters were the purest waters he's 75 maybe, and he's worked in the Amazon for a long time, and so that's great news for the headwaters of Guyana's largest rivers. And so the fish team, we're still working on the sequences because they're just incredible and some of the biggest fish I've ever seen. I can't believe how big it is. I'm going to try to wrap up so we have some questions, because I told some people earlier that my flight got canceled for Guyana yesterday, and so I'm leaving in like 15 minutes to the airport. So I'm gonna wrap up. But just the primates, they expected 400 or so jaguars in this area. We used techniques that the local people shared with us. We did sequencing on the ground for eDNA and trained local people as well as others from agencies. We synthesize this information on a report, so I can share that with you by email. And so all of this information is available, but we have a beautiful report that can show kind of these some of the materials that we've produced talking about this beautiful landscape. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions. I'm also happy to follow up with email if I run out of time before my taxi comes. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Okay,
marvelous.
Bridget, you want to?
Absolutely, just marvelous. I'm going to rush to Dr. Archer as
Yes.
his hand is raised, and then I have some questions from the chat.
Thank you very much. I'm just fascinated by your presentation. I consider myself half Guyanese. My wife is Guyanese. I visited Guyana a couple of months ago. And for the first time, I went to Kaieteur. I went to Kaieteur. I don't think many people have been to Kaieteur, even Guyanese. Like, many of my Guyanese friends have never been. And I was just fascinated flying over at the massive green with nothing in sight. You know, most of the people seem to live along the rivers and so on. And the rest of the country, this huge country, I'm from Tobago, so that's huge, right?
Yes.
It's just covered in green, and I can imagine the literally thousands of unknown species and all kinds of stuff going on there. But I know you focus more on the interior, and I was just curious as to whether with the new development of the petro industry, whether they have been any impact studies done or whether there's much research being done on its effects, primarily where the petro industry is, really on the coast, on the East Coast mostly, and also how it may affect the potentially the interior.
You took my question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Fantastic. Don't be sorry.
I told you I'm half Guyanese, so
Don't be sorry. That is the question. That's the question of the day.
Yes.
I think that I would say that there is a strong interest. I know that there are environmental impact assessments happening along the coast to ensure the integrity of, especially like along the coast, the mangroves, and those habitats along the coast. And so I would say that I think they're making an effort for sure. I think it's tricky. It's hard to manage a whole landscape. And most of this is in the interior, like you were saying. And that's also as vulnerable as the exterior. There's so many, it's such a porous border. They've had to extract illegal miners from Brazil and Venezuela. And so, they're on watch all the time. And it's almost like the coast is a little bit easier because there are a lot of eyes that can keep kind of aware of like what's going on and any of the impacts that are going there. But I would say that I know that they're doing impact assessments and they're planning in a way that is to ensure that there is minimal impact on this offshore drilling.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is sure the question of the day. I have one from in the chat. I think it's BK Robertson says, looking at Guyana by biodiversity and conservation program, it's unique. How is the program supported? He asks.
Yeah, that's a good question. It takes money to do conservation work and do research. And so we we do just like any other researcher, we're applying for grants. We're, soliciting funds from foundations who want to support conservation work. There's been an incredible diaspora community that is supporting Guyana, whether they're investing in businesses in Guyana, but some of them are interested in supporting, like investing in things like conservation and biodiversity. And so it's just that same model that all research has to go through, and that's really funding and support and seeking funding for that. So I'm always like a little anxious about it when a grant is about to finish. because I'm like, when's the next one coming? And then
Mhm.
it just, there's so many questions to answer. There's so much potential for impact. This is one of the greatest conservation opportunities on the globe. Like nobody has 4 million acres like
Mhm.
Guyana has
No,
right
no.
now. And so it's just, and there's opportunities to set up a model for biodiversity credits, which is something they've talked about. They've, been a leader in receiving, funding for keeping the forest standing. And so I would say that it's for the research side, it's just constantly trying to find funding for that. Yeah, for sure. So if you know anyone, we're always interested to keep doing work in this area and in special places like this.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Souza, for answering my question. Yeah, it's always so that struggle when you want to preserve nature. Where do you get the money and how do you go about it? So I'm doing some work in Liberia myself with the Upper Guinean forest, and that has been the issue. We used to have a major funding was from the USAID, and then
Mm.
that got
Mm,
shut off, and so
Mhm.
we now just at a standstill. So that's one of the reasons I was asking that question. But
that's a
thank you
great
very much. It
question.
was a very excellent presentation. I really enjoyed that, even though I came
Oh,
in
thank you so
late.
much.
Yeah.
I
Is
I
is
I put
best
it
is
I put
best
it in the
net
chat.
another
Oh, I'm
source?
sorry. Go ahead.
Is best net another source of funding and help? I think there's an organization based in Europe called Best Net or something like that.
I don't know. I can look into it though.
Yeah,
Bassnet.
yeah,
Okay.
BES and dash net, I believe.
Oh, great.
Okay, I can look into it myself.
Yeah.
I put in the chat the link to the report. I'm also putting in the chat a short video. And
Okay.
anybody that is a GIS person, we just found that um, Esri has just highlighted our story map from Guyana as their end of
Awesome.
year favorites. And so
That's awesome.
just click on the one that says Guyana Spectacular Forest, and you'll see kind of a
Okay.
story map of this. Um,
Okay.
and
That is
please feel free to
fantastic.
share.
So I have some questions about the rivers and their life and stuff. Piranhas. Are there piranhas
A
in
lot of
in the Guyanese rivers?
Oh, so many, and they're
Okay.
delicious to eat too.
I didn't expect that comment.
They are
Are
wonderful.
delicious.
When you're a
Okay.
field biologist, you depend and you realize what it means to depend on the rivers and the forest for your
absolutely,
food.
absolutely.
Sometimes I would be on an expedition for a month living on the river, and we can bring some flour, farine, and a few things, but really we're depending on the fish, and sometimes the local people will hunt,
Including
subsistence.
piranhas.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I didn't know piranhas were a delicacy. We always hear about them being
dangerous.
the predator.
They are
So
dangerous, but yeah.
so my other question is about the insects, particularly like butterflies and bioluminescent stuff. There are bioluminescent plants, there are bioluminescent animals, bioluminescent insects. Is anybody doing research in those sort of areas?
Yes, great question. So my friend and colleague, who is the director of the Center for Biological Studies at University of Guyana, Dr. Priya Maharaj, she's someone you should put on your list. She is an expert on butterflies, and she has a couple of people in the Biodiversity Center that one in particular works on insects. And so I have just connected our curator of insects from the Field Museum with Dr. Maharaj. And there's going to be an insect project next year. And
So
so, like,
she's at the University of Guyana,
yes, she's
biology
fantastic.
probably, right? Department.
Yes,
Okay.
add her to the ongoing list.
Yes. You know what was cool is that blue frog.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
in the highland areas too, there's some that are pink with black
Wow.
spots. some of the poison dart frogs. They're really beautiful, bright yellow. There's one that's called a bumblebee because it's yellow and black and then tiny little red spots. Um, and I
Wow.
know we don't know half of what's out there. So
Right.
there's more to discover. Anyone has students interested, just send them our way.
So would you say that the status of ecology research, environmental research in Guyana is like picked up, accelerated in the last few years, or is it at a standstill? What's your sense?
Oh, I think it's picked up for sure. When I started
Okay.
in 2003, I rarely saw other people doing research, and I think that there's a lot of NGOs, a lot of projects that are coming to Guyana. I think it's a great thing. The more we know, the better we can prepare, or they and decision makers can prepare for, you know, preserving these ecosystems.
I
Could
think
you,
you'd be interested in the large ants that we roast, Dr. Murray.
huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
think
Roast
you should go.
ants?
Yes,
What?
yes, I think you should go and taste and see.
Roast ants?
Yeah.
Roast
It's
ants?
excellent for protein. So
I
the
bet it
Oh,
is.
vegetables, yeah,
I
there you
bet it is.
go.
So what on your trip to Guyana today, in a few minutes, what is your plans? I mean, what are you going
yes.
for? And yeah, tell us a little bit.
And I will. And my driver just came, but I have 5 minutes and it's just
Okay,
right outside the door.
okay.
I am so sorry, but please
That's
email me.
okay.
If Dr. Murray, if you could send my email out,
All right.
um, I would be
I
happy
will.
to
Yeah.
follow up.
I
But
will.
this trip is actually, we worked with primarily 3 communities to do this work. And we always return the information back to the communities and give a presentation.
Mm,
And
mhm,
so we have a presentation in one of the communities on Saturday, tomorrow. And we'll be delivering the reports and images and posters and just to have a discussion on kind of what we did and what we found. So final results. And so that's the purpose of this trip.
mhm. Okay, very good.
Thank you
Well,
so much, everyone. I'm
Bridget,
so
do you
sorry
want
to
to
cut
bring
it
it to a
short.
close?
Yes, I am going to bring it to a close, and I hope that this makes your heart happy.
Yes.
Dr. Len Archer said Guyanese don't go to the Kaitro Falls. So I just want
Oh,
to make sure that
okay.
softly there.
Oh, that's
Oh,
pretty cool.
yay.
That's me saying, look at it. And you know,
Okay,
the rush
okay.
of the water, you feel it.
Oh
You
my
feel the
goodness.
sprays. I mean, that's the closest that you would go because
Yes,
it's
yes.
so powerful.
I have a
Wow.
similar picture, you know.
Yes. It is just
It
powerful.
is,
It's
yeah, it
just
is
powerful.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And then the plane is little.
yeah. It's like
The
Okay.
plane is little.
like a 10-seater, 10,
Yeah.
10, 10,
Yeah.
11-seater.
You don't take
Wow.
much luggage,
Mm-mm.
Okay.
but you can sit
Very
out there
good.
and picnic. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I just want to thank Dr. Salas de Souza for your awesome presentation about my country. You warmed my heart, and we are neighbors. So, como vai você?
Ah, que bom. Muito obrigada.
Sim. And I
Thank
want
you,
to thank,
everyone.
yeah, thank you so much. I wish you a good flight. And if you were
Thank
there
you.
towards the end of the year, I should see you. Dr. Murray, again, this was stellar. I want to thank Mr. Robertson for his participation, Dr. Len Archer, and everyone else. I
Everyone.
want to welcome Mrs. Janice Mingo from the UK to the platform and hope that next Friday we can all be joined once
Yes.
again. Thank you,
And
Dr.
Thank
Mingo.
you so much.
yes,
Bye,
yes, very
everyone.
good.
Bye-bye.
Take
Good
care.
flight.
Thank
Thank you.
you. All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a safe
Bye.
flight.
Hope to see you
A
guys
safe
next week.
flight.
Yeah.
Very good presentation.
Yes, next week we
Absolutely.
go to
Thank
New
you,
York
Dr. Gloria.
City. So hope to see you guys next week for our trip to New York City.
Absolutely.
Sound
If
good.
it's Friday, it's Environmental Fridays. It is personal. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Oh, Bridget, the
Yes.
persons that you know, could you
Yes.
get their
I
contact
will.
information so
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
reach out to them?
Yes. Dr.
Yeah.
Glenville Liebert, Dr. Gloria Brown, Dr. Joseph
Lindley
Paxton, Bridget.
Beckles, Linda Yachty,
Yes. Yes.
Royden. Yeah,
Dr.
lots
Beckles
of
is
new
here.
names.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Good, good,
All right,
good.
and I will let you know. I think Paul may be Paul Lowe, I'm not sure. Miss Linda Yard, all of these
Okay.
folk are, yeah.
All right,
So
good,
thank you
good,
for the
good.
opportunity, sir. It was such a warm session.
Yes, and
Right?
this session, as always, will be on YouTube. So once we
Yes,
have your email, we'll send you the link to YouTube.
yes. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Murray.
you. Take
Yes.
care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Same to you.
Hey, Mr. Murray, Dr. Murray, can
Yes.
you make sure to include those links that she put in her presentation in the comments of the YouTube when you load it so that we have access to it?
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate it.
right. Okay, take
Have a
care.
good day.
All right, you too.